Let me ask you something. Have you ever trusted someone completely and then they stabbed you in the back? Have you ever watched someone say all the right things, smile all the right smiles, make all the right promises, and then do the exact opposite of what they told you? Have you ever looked at your own life and wondered, why do I keep making the same mistakes? Why do I keep falling for the same traps? Why do people behave the way they do? If any of that sounds familiar, this book was written for you. Robert Greene spent years studying history's most fascinating, dangerous, brilliant, and broken human beings. Kings, generals, manipulators, artists, tyrants, lovers, leaders, and he found something extraordinary. Beneath all the different faces, cultures, centuries, and circumstances, human beings follow patterns. Predictable, repeatable, timeless patterns. And the people who understand these patterns, they become almost impossible to manipulate. They build better relationships. They make smarter decisions. They see through the masks people wear. And the people who ignore these patterns, they get used. They get hurt. They wonder why life keeps happening to them instead of for them. This is The Law of Human Nature by Robert Greene. And by the end of this, you will never look at people or yourself the same way again. Chapter 1. We are not as rational as we think. Here's a question for you. When you made your last big decision, buying something expensive, choosing a friend, picking a path, how much of that was logic? And how much of it was emotion? Be honest. Greene opens the entire book with this uncomfortable truth. We are not rational creatures. We are emotional creatures who are very good at pretending to be rational. Think about it like this. Imagine a dog that hears a strange noise outside. It barks, growls, runs to the door. Pure reaction, pure emotion. It's not sitting there calmly thinking, let me analyze the probability that this is a threat. Now, humans like to think we're different from that dog. But Greene says, not as different as you think. Most of our decisions are made emotionally first. Then our brain quickly builds a logical story around that decision to make it feel rational. We tell ourselves a story. We justify. We rationalize. A man buys an expensive sports car he can't afford. Why? His brain tells him it's a good investment. It's reliable. It's practical. But the real reason? He wants to feel powerful. He wants to feel admired. The logical story came after the emotional decision was already made. This is called rationalization, and Greene says it is one of the most dangerous human tendencies of all. Because if you don't know that you're doing it, you can never see yourself clearly. And if you can't see yourself clearly, how can you possibly understand anyone else? Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you meet someone at a party. They are charming. They are warm. They compliment you. They seem deeply interested in everything you say. They make you feel like the most important person in the room. But then, weeks later, you slowly start to notice things. They only call when they need something. Every conversation eventually circles back to them. When you're struggling, they seem almost bored. When they're struggling, they need everything from you. What happened? Did they change? No, they didn't change. The mask just slipped. Greene explains that every human being presents a social self to the world, a version of themselves carefully constructed to be accepted, liked, respected, or feared. This is the mask. But underneath the mask lives the shadow, the insecurities, the desires, the fears, the wounds, the real self that most people spend their entire lives trying to hide. The key skill Greene teaches, learning to see past the mask, not with cynicism, not with paranoia, but with calm, patient observation. He says, watch what people do, not what they say. Watch how they behave when things go wrong. Watch how they treat people who can do nothing for them. Watch what they do when they think no one is looking. That is the real person. So here's the question I want you sitting with right now. The people closest to you. Do you know their mask, or do you know them? Chapter 3. The Law of Self-Sabotage. This one hits differently. Greene argues that most of the pain in our lives, most of the failures, the broken relationships, the missed opportunities, is self-created. Not by the world, not by bad luck, not by other people, by us. By our own patterns of thinking that we never stop to examine. Here's a simple example. Imagine a boy who grew up in a house where love always came with conditions. His parents only praised him when he achieved something. So he grew up believing, I am only lovable when I perform. Now, he's an adult. He works himself into exhaustion, trying to prove his worth. He can't relax. He pushes away people who love him freely because it doesn't feel real. He chases approval from people who will never give it. He's not unlucky. He's not cursed. He is running a program that was written in childhood, and he has never updated it. Greene calls these life scripts, deep patterns of behavior rooted in our earliest experiences that we carry forward without ever questioning them. And here's the most important question of this entire video. What patterns are you running that you haven't examined yet? Because until you do, you are not making free choices. You are just replaying the past. Envy is the emotion nobody admits to feeling. Anger, people talk about anger. Sadness, people talk about sadness. Fear, sure. But envy, nobody says, I'm jealous of you. Nobody admits that seeing someone else succeed quietly burns them from the inside. And because nobody admits it, it becomes the most dangerous emotion of all. Greene says envy is everywhere. It disguises itself as criticism. It disguises itself as concern. It disguises itself as advice. Think about this. Have you ever achieved something and shared the news with a friend, and instead of pure happiness, you felt a strange coolness, a forced smile, a comment that subtly made your win feel smaller? That was envy wearing a mask. And here's the uncomfortable flip side. You have felt envy too, probably recently, probably towards someone close to you, maybe even someone you love. Greene doesn't say this to make you feel guilty. He says it to make you aware. Because once you recognize envy, in others and in yourself, you can stop being controlled by it. You stop making decisions based on what other people have. You stop shrinking your success to keep other people comfortable. You start running your race instead of constantly watching everyone else's lane. Here is one of the most practical skills in the entire book. Greene says when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. We've all ignored this lesson, haven't we? We meet someone, they do something that raises a red flag, a small betrayal, a flash of cruelty, a lie they think we didn't notice, a moment where the mask slipped. And what do? We make excuses for them. They were having a bad day. That's not really who they are. Things will be different. And then, months or years later, they do the exact same thing on a bigger scale, and we stand there shocked. But should we really be shocked? Greene says no, because people almost never change their core patterns. If someone was dishonest in a small thing, watch carefully. That is a window into their character, not an exception to it. He uses a brilliant metaphor. He says character is like a recurring dream. The details might change, the setting, the people, the circumstances, but the theme repeats, always. So the skill is this. When you see a pattern in someone, especially a troubling one, don't dismiss it. Observe it. File it. Remember it, because they will show you that pattern again. The only question is whether you'll be paying attention. Have you ever met someone who thought they were just a little bit more special than everyone else? Maybe you've even been that person sometimes, and you know it. Greene says every human being carries what he calls a grandiose self, a part of us that believes we are uniquely talented, uniquely destined, uniquely important. In small doses, this is healthy. It gives us confidence. It drives us to attempt great things, but unchecked, it becomes a trap. Greene points to Napoleon as one of history's most dramatic examples of this. A man of extraordinary genius, cool, drunk on success, convinced himself he was beyond the normal rules of strategy, of politics, of human limits. He invaded Russia in winter, with an army of 600,000 men, and lost nearly all of them. Genius destroyed by an unchecked belief in his own invincibility. The lesson? The moments when you feel most invincible are often the most dangerous moments of your life, because that's when you stop listening, when you stop checking your assumptions, when you take risks that you'd normally see clearly. Stay humble. Stay curious. The smartest people in history were always the ones who assumed there was more they didn't know. Greene says the awareness of death is the most powerful motivator available to a human being. And most people spend their entire lives running away from it. Think about it. We fill our days with noise, distraction, busyness, screens, drama, anything to avoid sitting quietly and asking the uncomfortable questions. Am I living the life I actually want? Am I spending my time on what actually matters? If I had 1 year left, what would I change? Most people don't ask these questions until it's almost too late. But the great figures of history, the ones Greene studies most closely, did the opposite. They kept death close, not morbidly, not with despair, but as a clarifying lens. When you truly accept that your time is limited, that this life, this day, this moment is not guaranteed, something shifts. Petty conflicts stop mattering. Shallow approval stops mattering. Wasted years stop being acceptable. You get serious about your actual purpose. Greene calls this the gift of urgency. So here's the question, and it's a big one. If your life ended in 5 years, what would you stop doing? And what would you finally start? Final chapter, the ultimate law, know yourself. Everything in this book, every law, every pattern, every warning, builds toward one single ancient idea. An idea so old it was carved into the stone entrance of the Temple of Apollo in ancient Greece. 2 words, know yourself. Greene's entire argument is this. Most human suffering, most broken relationships, most failed ambitions, most repeated mistakes comes from a fundamental lack of self-knowledge. We don't know our patterns, we don't examine our emotions, we don't question our assumptions. We don't see our own shadow, so we move through life half-blind, reacting, rationalizing, projecting, bumping into the same walls over and over, and wondering why the world keeps hurting us. But the person who does the hard work of genuine self-examination, they see themselves clearly, flaws and all, without flinching. They see others clearly, masks and all, without judgment. They make decisions from awareness instead of from impulse. They stop being manipulated because they understand the manipulation. They stop being consumed by envy because they understand envy. They stop repeating patterns because they can see the patterns. Think of it like this. Most people go through life in a dark room, bumping into the furniture over and over. Self-knowledge turns the lights on, and once those lights are on, you cannot go back to stumbling in the dark. Robert Greene doesn't offer you a comfortable read. He offers you a mirror and the courage to actually look into it. So the final question, the one this entire book is asking you. Are you willing to look at yourself honestly, the good, the shadow, the mask, the patterns, and use that knowledge to build something better? Because that is where real power begins. Not in controlling others, not in accumulating money or status or influence, but in the one thing most people never achieve, mastery over themselves. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.